Hi, I'm Rides. Hopefully you watched my recent video about removing rust from a BMX frame. This is the frame set that I used in that video. It did come up quite a lot better than it used to be. That rust is now gone. What I'm going to do is show you my method for removing decals from a chrome frame. I'll also do a video about removing decals from a painted frame, as there's a little bit more in that. You need to know whether you're going to keep hold of the paint or you're going to be repainting. But anyway, for a chrome frame, this is my method for removing decals. Some of the things that you're going to need for removing decals from a chrome frame: you're going to need some acetone. That's going to actually get rid of all of the glue that's left on the frame after we've removed the decals. You're either going to need a box cutter with a good sharp blade, or you're going to use a scalpel. I prefer a scalpel. As a graphic designer, I have a ton of these sitting around, so this is my preferred tool, but box cutter works just as fine. And then obviously a frame. I would make sure that your frame is completely clean. I always bath before I remove decals. And the first step to taking the decals off is to photograph all of the decals close, and then also photograph the whole frame so that you know where the placement's going to be of the decals when you put them on. Okay, so step one, I'm going to take pictures of all of these decals, including the whole frame, both sides. And then also fork every decal so we know where it goes. Okay, so now that I've got both fork and frame photographed, I can start removing. So to remove the decals, what I do is take my blade and slide down. I don't need to keep these decals, so I'm literally cutting them off. Slide it along and remove section by section. If I wanted to keep the decal, I would heat it up and I would try and remove it that way, but I've already done this set. I don't need to keep. So as you can see, taking off strip by strip. And then taking off all the little bits that are left over. There's a little bit of a nick in there on the frame. I don't want to bust my blade, so I'm going a little bit slowly. It does make a bit of a mess. Don't press too hard. You don't want to scratch the chrome, but laying the blade flat will help prevent that. And just get rid of all the little bits of plastic that are left. One down. So again, keep your blade flat on the frame and just push along and cut through small sections at a time. And then coming across, if you've created a grain like this, come across the grain and pick up any of the leftover plastic. The acetone will pick up a little bit of that plastic that's left over, but you don't want to have too much, as it will stop it from tidying up 100%. So that's one side done, onto the other side. You need to make sure that your blade is sharp. A lot of these little nicks in the frame will blunt down your blade. So you just want to make sure that it stays sharp the whole time. Replace it, break it off if it's a replaceable blade, and get a fresh one. The sharper your blade, the less chance you have of scratching your chrome. Got a bit of a dent here on the chainstay. It's a little more difficult to get that decal out from in there. But my smaller blade is able to bend through and just get into that gap. Last one, head tube. Same process on the fork. And of course, goes without saying, be very, very careful. You're using a sharp blade. And I can hear you all saying, yes, Dad. And there you go, just broke that blade. Pushing a little bit too hard, got caught in one of the little nicks on the fork there and snapped right off. I shall replace it. Make sure you find all the blade pieces. Obviously that's the bit that snapped off. We don't want that sitting around on the floor in my garage, end up on my foot. So yeah, keep them all, wrap them up and throw them in the bin. Okay, new blade on. Let's finish this fork off. Okay, fork done and frame done. Now we can remove all of this excess glue. But before we do, a little bit of a space tidy up. So this is where you need your acetone. Acetone is the best for cutting through this glue. My rag's a little bit dirty, that's why it's leaving streaks. So if you cut across that grain, as I was saying, you'll get rid of a lot of the little bits of glue that are left over, and you should end up with a beautiful section of chrome. And any little bits of plastic that are left over, as you can see, the acetone cuts through it pretty easily. That's the frame done. The fork, as you can see, has a lot of little nicks in there. That's what I busted my blade on. It's pretty normal for forks to be a bit more scratched up, but new set of decals will cover that nicely. Give that chrome a little bit of a polish and it will come up a little nicer. But there you have it. Frame and fork, sans decals. Thanks very much for watching. If you found this video useful, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much. See you next time.